Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifester. And I'm sure you are too, because you are watching content like this. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting, because I believe in a whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives that we're choosing. What I'm discussing in this video is when you are moving away from the old timelines, things from the previous timelines will not come together anymore. The people, places, and things attached to that. And a lot of times we try to figure out why, but it's just no longer in alignment with who we are. So we have to go ahead and allow it to take the lead and move forward. If you've ever experienced something like an old friend, I've had plenty of people that, we have social media now and we have technology where we can keep in contact with people for a very long time. And even sometimes past the expiration date. I remember saying back in the day, like that was my one thing I didn't like about Facebook for, when people used to use it back in the day. Like my daughters, Facebook is beyond, they don't even have a Facebook. They're doing other things. You already know, TikTok and stuff. But I was like, the one thing that I find beneficial from the era in which that I grew up is that because I was a little 90s kid, we were able to disconnect from people that we were in high school with and learn who we are, figure out where we wanted to take our lives. We were able to make new friends in college. It wasn't so easily accessible to be attached to the people that we had come through elementary, middle school, and high school with, right? Because where I'm from, I told my daughters, we went to the same people I saw in elementary school, with the same people I saw in middle school, with the same people I saw in high school. And so this was a very common thing. And so when that happens, you might find yourself trying to get in contact with people. There's people that I love truly and dearly, and we tried to reconnect and we got together, and it was supposed to be like, let's recombine ourselves, let's get our kids together. It was that sort of thing. And have you ever had that experience where it just never comes together? There's no malice on anybody's end. There's no malice on anybody's parts, but a large part of you is no longer the person that background connected to so deeply and so easily. And sometimes I always had to check myself, because I'm just like, oh, well, maybe I should contact them more. Maybe I should send a message. But then I realized is that it was not being reciprocated. And mostly it was because I was reaching. I was trying to put my hand back into a pot that no longer applied to me. And it's not that anything negative or bad had to happen. And I think that's the biggest misconception. We think that something negative or bad needs to happen for us to know that it's time to disconnect from previous timelines. And that's not the case. Or you'll be in your own little world doing your own thing, and somebody will try to call you at the most inopportune time, and you're just like, oh my goodness, I missed their call. So like a couple hours later, you'll give them a call and they won't answer their phone then. And then you won't hear from the person for like years. And you're just like, well, what happened there? Nothing happened there. It's literally the universe blocking a connection that no longer serves the new timeline that you're on, the new trajectory that you've attached yourself to. And a lot of times it'll be something like that's as simple as there was a previous a friend that I had a long time ago. And I remember I was selling my first house, and I had not talked to them in a while, but something about their energy was starting to be off to me. And I didn't know what it was, but it was just starting to be off, and it was starting to feel a bit negative. So I kind of just, I let him know that, hey, I need a break from people. And he was all, oh, that's great. Whatever. We were good friends for the time being. And so in that process, a lot had changed, right? I'd started homeschooling my daughters. I was like, I'm about to sell this house because it's, this is an old life that I don't want anymore. I want to move forward with my life and do something different. And the funniest thing is that all of that time I was in that house, probably like a year and something after I told him that, I'm just taking a break from people at this time, I had not heard anything. And so I sold the house, and we had to be out of it like on a Monday, I remember. And the next day, like Tuesday passed, and then on a Wednesday, I got a message from this person out of the blue saying that they stopped by my house, unannounced by the way, on Tuesday to drop off some things that I had left in their care like from a year ago. It's like, I don't even know what it was anymore. A year ago, and they were trying to describe the items, and I'm like, I don't even remember, but it was a text message and saying, but you weren't home, so I left the things on your porch. And I found that to be so interesting because my intuition and my feeling about the person and their attitude and energy was correct. because years later, I found out some really negative things, and I'm just like, something was telling me something was off there, and I didn't even know. But isn't it interesting how the universe will do that? How it lined up our lives in a way that we didn't even come together on by an accident. Like it wouldn't even happen in that way. I had been in that house all that time, left on a Monday. This person stopped by on a Tuesday to drop off things and texted me on a Wednesday and told me that. And I was like, wow, that is amazing to me, manifesting in law of attraction. Even though I wouldn't have mind taking the stuff or the phone call or whatever, but I was so far removed into a different space and a different timeline. And it showed me even just the symbolism of selling the house and moving on with my life, that this person that had been around in that space was not even welcome in the new timeline, so much so that they showed up to the old timeline in the old space, in the old world that I come from, even after I had moved on. So instances like that in my life are super profound, because it's not anything that I planned, anything that I created, anything that I was even trying to control. It just played out in a way that it exactly lined up with, this is no longer a person that you're going to have in your space. And because you were moving on and you physically have taken the jump, you've gotten outside of your comfort zone, and you've decided that I'm going to take this risk in my life that has paid off tremendously, in my opinion, that you're going to be moved into this space and you're going to miss them. What they call it, like ships passing in the night. That is how so many situations will be. It's similar to something like you are always wanting to do this specific job. You always wanted to work at this specific place or have this specific career. And then when you finally get to the place where you realize, it's like, you know what? I've tried to do this so much, and if they truly wanted me, it would have been a different reception. If it was truly where I was supposed to be, it would have been a different outcome. And you finally kind of just relax and give up on it for a while. And then someone comes along with this major offer to you about, we need you to do this, we need you to do that. And you're like nowhere in the space to latch on to this opportunity, because you've already moved outside of it. So sometimes we think we want something so bad. We think we want this thing in our space so bad. And then the universe will show you, like, honey, you have outgrown this thing. You have outgrown these people. You have outgrown this place. You have outgrown this career. You have outgrown this thing. So let it happen and let it be. And I can't tell you how many times that I have decided to go back to something old, an old thing, an old idea, an old environment. And each and every time it's been a huge disappointment, and it's been even more of a negative experience than it was the first time around. See, now I know to not even touch this kind of stuff. I know not to even walk in these types of environments. And even if I was in the environment or something that I was attached to for a few minutes, it was a positive experience, but I still knew that it was no longer a part of the current version of who I am. And I've mentioned this before with jobs. I've mentioned this before with different career moves. I've mentioned this with people and personal relationships. Sometimes it doesn't matter when you are moving into a new space and developing and expanding yourself. There's nothing you can do to make the old stuff come together. It even shows up in people. Sometimes you've moved outside of a mental space and outside of a mindset that used to work really well and had a lot of camaraderie with someone on a regular basis. And when you've moved out of the space of whatever y'all were sharing together, being the kind of the glue that held you together, the camaraderie that made the connection work, the person doesn't even know how to approach you. They don't even know how to interact with you. They don't even know what to share with you and what to have a conversation about you on a regular basis. And a conversation with you about on a regular basis. And so sometimes we're trying to think, and I've done this. I've sat there and like, well, maybe I could talk about this, and I'll type something in a text message, and I'm like, well, no, I don't really care about that. And I try to be my most authentic self and show up in that way. And when I do that, something else will distract me. A phone call will come in. An opportunity that I was waiting for on an email will pop up. And I'm like, I was about to give my time and energy to that, right? Have you ever looked into something that was supposed to be in a previous timeline, and there's something about you that keeps holding you back from doing it and from connecting with the person or getting something done, and you reach out anyway? I've done that. And when you reach out to do it, and a lot of times it's boredom. It's because we don't know how to wait for the manifestations that we actually want to see in our lives to show up. So we allow this little boredom that happens sometimes in the waiting period, in the in-between space. And I have a video about that. It's one of my main videos on my page, and on the channel page. In the in-between space, we don't allow the in-between space to marinate. And we'll go back and try to call this person or place or this thing back into our space. And then we do it, and then we don't hear anything from the person or the place or the thing. And it's like, almost a week will pass, and we're like, okay, well, you know what that tells me? I wasn't supposed to be thinking about that anyway. And then the thing will pop up, and they'll say, yeah, just responding to your message. And in that process, you realize, I'm glad the space had happened, because it's not really what I want. It's not that there's anything bad or negative going on with the person or the opportunity or the connection. It's just no longer where you're going to be headed. And sometimes it's the same on the other end with the other person too. They just don't know it, or either they do know it, but they don't always know, let me trust my intuition here. So sometimes it's a big deal to trust your intuition and just allow the in-between space to marinate for a while. Because when that old timeline and when those people, places, and things from that era don't line up with you anymore, it can feel like no man's land. It can feel really empty in your life. And for some people, it can feel really lonely and really isolating. But I'm here to tell you that when it's not supposed to be, when things are not supposed to happen, and when things are not supposed to connect, it doesn't matter what, it won't connect. People will be mad at you for no good reason and disconnect from you. People will talk about you and say different things that aren't even true for no good reason. It won't be anything that you can do to change people's minds about you. And that's when you got to know that this timeline has passed. Either they join me with the new energy and the new mindset on the new timeline, or either it's a connection that is now, depleted. And that's okay, right? Anyway, when the old timeline has diminished in our lives and we're supposed to be heading into a new direction, there's almost nothing we can do to make ourselves realign with the old people, places, and things that we used to feel so comfortable and so happy in. And it kind of sucks. There are things that I used to be so excited about, and people that I used to be so excited to hang with, and people that used to make me laugh, and I would make them laugh, and it would be a joyful experience. But something has disconnected, and I got to trust my intuition and trust my faith in the universe, the source, the creator, and know that this is the path that I should be walking. If I'm always wanting to look to my highest good, to the best version of myself, and to be the best version and give to the world and expand, I got to know that it's not going to always feel good when I have to disconnect from things, or things automatically just disconnect that I used to hold so dear. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.